Right now, 41% of employers worldwide are planning to cut their workforce in the next 5 years. And most of the people who will lose their jobs have no idea it's coming. That's not a prediction. That's from the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report. And here's the thing. This cycle isn't just a regular recession wave. It's a recession layered on top of something that has never happened before. Mass AI displacement hitting the same workers in the same industries at the same time. If you've got a job right now, you need to understand what's actually happening, which seats are getting pulled first, and exactly what you can do about it. Before the music stops, let's start with history, because history tells us everything. In every recession since 1980, the same industries take the first and hardest hits. Construction loses massive ground. 29% of its entire workforce disappeared during the Great Recession alone. Layoffs in that sector hit 3.9 million in 2009. Manufacturing gets gutted next. Durable goods industries shed an average of 10% of all jobs in each recession cycle. Then hospitality collapses, and in 2020, leisure and hospitality lost 8.2 million jobs in just 2 months. That's the most catastrophic 2-month decline of any sector in recorded US history. Retail gets hollowed out. Professional and business services, think marketing agencies, staffing firms, consultants, shed nearly 5 million jobs per year on average during downturns. The pattern is consistent and brutal. Industries tied to discretionary spending, big capital investments, and corporate budgets that can be paused are always the first to go. So if you're in any of those sectors right now, your threat level isn't theoretical, it's historical. But here's what makes 2026 different from every recession that came before it. In 2024, over 152,000 tech workers were laid off. In 2025, another 123,000 followed. And by early 2026, roughly 20% of all new layoff announcements in tech explicitly cited AI and automation as the reason, up from less than 8% just a year earlier. That number is accelerating fast. Bloomberg research found that AI can already replace 53% of what market research analysts do, and 67% of what sales representatives handle day to day. The World Economic Forum estimates 92 million jobs will be displaced by AI by 2030, and those aren't all warehouse jobs. Many are white-collar. Many are the jobs people went to college for. Here's the brutal reality. You're not just competing against a bad economy. You're competing against software that doesn't need health insurance, doesn't take sick days, and costs a fraction of your salary to run. That's the new equation. So what do you actually do about it? The first move is understanding which roles are genuinely hard to cut. Healthcare has added jobs through every single recession in modern history. The Great Recession pushed general unemployment to 10%. Healthcare barely felt it. Between 2023 and 2033, the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects nearly 2 million healthcare job openings per year. Nursing, medical coding, physical therapy, home health aides, these fields are structurally bulletproof because they require human hands, human judgment, and human presence. Utilities are another fortress. People don't stop using electricity or water when the economy tanks. Government jobs are protected by contract, union agreements, and the simple fact that governments don't need to post a profit to keep running. And the skilled trades, electricians, HVAC technicians, plumbers, welders, are quietly one of the best positioned workforces in America right now. There is a chronic shortage of tradespeople, driven by decades of pushing 4-year degrees while trade apprenticeships dried up. Infrastructure investment is pouring money into this sector, and no AI on the market can crawl into a crawl space and rewire a panel. Cybersecurity is the other field worth your serious attention. There are currently 514,000 cybersecurity job openings in the United States, and not enough qualified workers to fill them. The average cybersecurity salary hit $135,969 in 2026, and with AI-enabled attacks escalating, demand isn't cooling, it's going vertical. Security professionals are one of the only tech subgroups still posting job numbers above pre-pandemic levels. So if you're sitting in a role that isn't in one of these protected categories, and even if you are, the smartest thing you can do right now is start building what economists call income resilience, which just means stop depending on one source of income. 65% of wealthy Americans maintain 3 or more income streams. Among low-income households, only 5% do. That's not a coincidence. It's a strategy. And in 2020, when single-income households got crushed by sudden layoffs, the households with side income, freelance work, a small online business, rental income, dividend payments, absorbed the shock and kept functioning. The difference between financial survival and financial catastrophe in a recession often comes down to whether you have a second check coming in, even a small one. You don't need to build an empire. You need a cushion, a freelance skill you can monetize in 30 days, a service you can sell on Upwork, Fiverr, or directly to local businesses, content that can generate passive ad revenue over time, a skill gap in your market that you can fill on weekends. The side income doesn't need to replace your job, it just needs to buy you time if your job disappears. And there's something else most people skip entirely: upskilling before the downturn hits, not during it. The skills that command the highest premiums during recessions are the ones employers can't easily cut: data analysis, AI prompt engineering, cybersecurity fundamentals, project management certifications, trade certifications, healthcare credentials. These don't require 4-year degrees. Many can be completed in 3 to 12 months. The workers who come out of a recession better than they went in are always the ones who used the downtime, or the pre-downturn window, to stack credentials that the market actually wants. If you're in a vulnerable sector, the smartest move you can make this year isn't updating your LinkedIn headline. It's picking one high-demand skill and going deep on it before you need it. Now, what about the job you already have? Because here's something nobody talks about. You have more power inside your current role than you probably think. If you sense layoffs are coming, don't wait to be called into HR. Get proactive. Make yourself the person they cannot afford to cut. That starts with knowing your numbers. What revenue do you directly generate, protect, or support? What would break or slow down without you? If you can't answer those questions clearly, you need to figure it out fast and then make sure the people above you know the answers too. Visibility matters enormously when leadership is drawing up lists. Ask for a project. Volunteer for cross-functional work. Make yourself visible across departments, not just siloed in your lane. The people who get kept are rarely the best technical performers in the room. They're the ones with relationships across the organization, the ones who've built internal value that goes beyond their job description. And if the writing is genuinely on the wall, if you see hiring freezes, hear whispers about budget cuts, or notice that your department's projects keep getting deprioritized, have the conversation. Sit down with your manager or HR and ask directly what the company's plans look like and where your role fits. You're not showing weakness by asking. You're showing self-awareness. And in that conversation, you have an opportunity to negotiate. Negotiate your role. Offer to take on additional responsibilities that make you harder to eliminate. If a layoff is already decided and they're working through packages, negotiate the severance. Most people accept the first offer. That's a mistake. Employers build flexibility into initial severance packages. The number is almost always a starting point, not a ceiling. Push for extended health coverage, additional weeks of pay, outplacement services, accelerated vesting on any equity you're owed. COBRA alone can cost $600 to $1,500 a month for a family. Getting the company to cover that for even a few extra months is worth thousands of dollars. But let's say the layoff happens anyway. Let's say you get called in and you're handed the box. The first 72 hours matter more than most people realize. Day 1. Do not spiral. Seriously, the emotional hit is real, but the decisions you make in the first 72 hours set the trajectory for everything that follows. File for unemployment benefits the same week you're laid off. Every state has an online portal and the process takes less than an hour. Do not wait. The faster you file, the faster the 2 to 3 week processing clock starts. You'll need your social security number, employment history, dates of employment, and income figures ready. Have them. Secure documentation. If your company didn't give you a written layoff notice, ask for one. You need written evidence that you were part of a reduction in force, not fired. That distinction matters to every future employer who asks what happened. Sort your health insurance immediately. If you were covered through your employer, you have a window to elect COBRA continuation coverage. For companies with 20 or more employees, you're entitled to up to 18 months of continued coverage. It's expensive out of pocket, but it keeps you covered while you search. Compare it to healthcare.gov marketplace options. Depending on your income drop, you may qualify for significant subsidies. Then reach out to 3 to 5 contacts in your industry within the first 48 hours. Not mass emailing your LinkedIn network. Targeted, personal outreach to people who know your work. Most jobs filled during recessions are filled through relationships, not job boards. The Bureau of Labor Statistics data from the Great Recession showed that median unemployment duration stretched to 25.2 weeks, nearly 6 months, for people who went the traditional application route. The people who moved fastest were the ones who activated their network on day 1, not week 4. Defile of press. The garlic file asks a file was ones who activated their network on day 1, not week 4. Update your resume that same week, not with a generic template. A targeted document that leads with the specific, measurable value you delivered. Revenue generated, costs cut, projects completed, teams led, metrics hit. Numbers. Always numbers. Vague bullet points get skipped. Specific results get interviews. Here's the final piece of this, and it's the one most people miss entirely. A recession doesn't destroy careers, it reshuffles them. Every major economic downturn in American history has been followed by a period where the prepared workers, the ones who treated the disruption as a signal rather than a sentence, came out on the other side with better positions, more income and more control over their financial lives than before. The 2008 crash created a generation of entrepreneurs who built companies because they got pushed out of corporate jobs. The 2020 pandemic forced millions of Americans to build side income that, for many of them, eventually became their primary income. The people who lose in a recession are the ones who were purely reactive, who waited for the layoff, then panicked, then scrambled. The people who win are the ones who started building before the pressure came, who diversified their income before they needed to, who stacked a skill before the market demanded it, who had the conversation with their boss before HR had the conversation with them. You still have time to be the second kind of person, but the window is narrowing. So tell me in the comments, what's your current plan if your income gets cut? Are you sitting on one paycheck with no backup, or have you already started building something on the side? I want to know where you actually are right now. If this hit you somewhere real, share it with someone in your life who needs to hear it, because the person who needs this most is probably the one least likely to go looking for it. Hit the like button if you want more content like this, and make sure you're subscribed, because next week we're going deep on the specific side income strategies that actually survive a recession, the ones worth building right now versus the ones that collapse the second the economy tightens. You don't want to miss that one.